Joel sang about Allentown as if it were a place of despair. But for a young budding musician and soon-to-be Morehead State University student, it was the gateway to a wonderful life. Before he was an internationally acclaimed drummer and educator, Pat Petrillo participated in a drum and bugle corps program in the Pennsylvania community.
And my mom used to travel with the corps to sell merchandise. So she was selling merchandise, and a gentleman came up to her and was recruiting for Morehead State University, and that gentleman was Mr. Frank Otis, who was the professor of percussion at Morehead State.
Mrs. Petrillo obtained a flyer about MSU and gave it to her son, who agreed to visit the Morehead State campus in 1979. Legend has it that after watching Pat Petrillo audition, Professor Frank Otis quipped, "Whoever said all men are created equal was a liar." Petrillo came from a highly urbanized area in New Jersey, so adjusting to a small, rural campus in eastern Kentucky might have seemed like landing in a different universe, but somehow it wasn't.
Well, when I first arrived for my audition on the campus, I fell in love with it because I felt it was very warm, inviting, it was beautiful, all the people were great. And I came down in February for band clinic to audition for Mr. Otis. And I was definitely impressed by the level of musicianship because I was used to being the best one in my area, in my school, in my district. But to come and see them perform in the percussion ensemble, I knew this is where I had to be because I wanted to be where everybody's better than me and I can aspire to be like them.
Pat Petrillo says he quickly realized MSU was the place where he could grow into an excellent musician. He loved the school for other reasons too.
When I first got to Morehead and I went into ADUC for the first time and the women were cooking those meals, I was in heaven because I knew, and my parents felt really good about that. I wish they'd bring back the home-cooked meals. That's the first time I had biscuits and gravy. That's the first time I had chicken and dumplings. That's the first time I had pecan pie. But it was a spread. Those of you who are old school like me remember ADUC and the food. It was so good. I wish they would bring that back.
But the young man from the Garden State fed his soul by joining the jazz and percussion ensembles, the MSU choir and marching band drumline, and later the Maysville Players.
That was my first actual performance, in doing a show. I never did a pit show before, and Mr. Otis once again said, "Hey, this would be great for you. It's the Maysville Players." Where is Maysville? I don't know, but just tell me where to go and I'll be there. So I got my first experience there, and that little experience, literally a year later, I had met my instructor here in New York City, who was one of the drummers for A Chorus Line on Broadway at the Shubert Theater. So as I was studying with him, he asked me if I wanted to be one of the drummers and perhaps sub for him. And I was a puppy. I was just out of college. And I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. So there's a fork in the road. If you say yes, now you're on the path that you have to go for it. If you say no, that might be your last opportunity. So I went for it, ended up being one of the first call drummers for the original Broadway production of A Chorus Line.
And that led to gigs on other Broadway shows like Grease, Footloose, Dreamgirls, and Newsies. In addition, Petrillo played with popular vocalists like Patti LaBelle, Gloria Gaynor, and Debbie Gibson.
And then I put my own group together and my own circle of musicians that I really like to play with. So I've really gotten into my own group and my own projects and bringing in musicians that I like to play with.
Those collaborations spawned recent albums like the Abbey Road and Power Station Sessions and a chance to play with an idol of Petrillo's, Nile Rodgers. Pat had seen Rodgers perform at Morehead State in 1979.
Well, I was a little 17, 18-year-old kid sitting in the front watching you guys. So see, how weird is that? That There's no such thing as, oh, it's just this or it's just that. Or every experience piggybacks on each one. And even now Rogers remembers Morehead State University.
Besides his professional experiences, Petrillo served as an educator at the famed Drummers Collective in New York City and other places as well. Working with students and helping them achieve their potential is one of his greatest treasures.
I think I've sent about 3 students, maybe more, to Morehead as percussion majors through my private studies. So I'm very proud, and 2 of them, 2 of them have met their wives at Morehead and have children now. And so I feel like a grandfather in some way, in some weird way.
Much of Pat's professional life has been centered in and around New York City, immersing himself in the music culture, including one of his favorite stops, the Good Hands Drum Shop. Pat's name and talent are revered, and his passion for percussion is as strong as ever. From the age of 4, when he was given his first set of drums, to his days as a proud member of the Morehead State Marching Band, and now performing on the world's biggest stages, the refrain of Pat Petrillo's life has always been music. His induction into the MSU Hall of Fame is a time for reflection and gratitude. It's another verse in a beautiful and ageless melody.
You know, a kid from Jersey, you know, going to this place, and they embraced me, and I just thought of my mom, I thought of my dad, I thought of like all of those, you know, moments of trepidation and you know, is this the right, should I, you know, moving so far away from home and all that, and where am I going? I didn't know, but I knew that this place was welcoming and embracing me and loving and caring. So it just means the world to me, man. I just think of that, I think of my mom, I think of that day, that flyer, you know, that she brought me, you know, to this place. I'm just like really thankful for everybody.
Congratulations, Pat Petrillo, on your induction into the Morehead State University Hall of Fame.